on another issue, but relating to the Palmertree,
Yes,
are we deliberate to talk about the hearing
certainly.
to the public?
That hearing was public and will be public. But as you know, there was an offer to plea on a 3-count indictment of embezzlement and regarding $12,000, 3 checks that, 2 of those checks signed by Ms. Palmertree in February of 2012, and I believe the other check in November of 2012, all 3 of those being contained in one indictment for embezzlement, but it was a 3-count indictment. That was handled by the Attorney General's office and, of course, Joe Holloman, the attorney for Ms. Palmertree. That offer to plea was made to Judge Lackey this morning in Circuit Court of Warren County. Judge Lackey accepted Ms. Palmertree's guilty plea on the indictment of the 3-count indictment of embezzlement, and Judge Lackey sentenced Ms. Palmertree to 10 years to serve, 10 years on each count, 5 years suspended on each count, all of which was to run concurrent, meaning she is to report to the Warren County Sheriff's Department on October 15th, according to Judge Lackey's order, and to begin serving a 5-year sentence. She is also ordered to make restitution to Warren County taxpayers in the amount of $12,000, which is the total sum of money in that 3-count indictment.
This was only on the 3 accounts of embezzlement, and embezzlement is stealing money?
Well,
That's
that is really a breach of her fiduciary obligations and trust to the citizens of Warren County in this particular instance, and thereby converting that sum of money to her own use. And Ms. Palmertree did enter a plea to that this morning. A plea of guilty, I'm sorry. Yes.
Is there any kind of appeal can be made?
No, sir. That's a constitutional right, to a trial by jury, but when you enter a plea of guilty, you give up that right.
And you mentioned in the courtroom this morning that this was just the tip of an iceberg.
Well,
Can you explain
and
that just a little bit for the public?
well, there are other matters that are under investigation at this time. There are amounts of restitution that is being looked into, the whereabouts thereof, of monies that have been tendered to the Warren County Circuit Clerk's office, and at this point has not been determined where that money is, nor did the victims receive the restitution amounts, some of the victims that have been paid to the Circuit Clerk's office. And that's really all I really am at liberty to discuss, but there is an ongoing investigation as to other matters.
But we have had several reports from citizens that have not received their restitution.
There have been calls received, by county members, yes, sir. District Attorney's Office, I know County Administrator, Victims' Rights Coordinator, and myself, and all of that is still under investigation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, by the time you deal with expenses that she took that she really was not allowed to, you deal with the interest, our investigative cost, and then the principal of what she took, which was about $680,000. It doesn't take long before those numbers hit $1 million.
How will the county be made whole?
Well, luckily we do have bonds that the county had paid for. We will collect that money and that basic. The majority of the principal will be paid back from those bonds. So we do that on multiple cases across the state. We're very aggressive at going after that money to make the taxpayers whole. That's what those bonds, those insurance policies are for. And we'll work with the board here in Warren County to go after those fees. Over and above that, she will have to pay restitution as she was ordered to do so by the judge this morning.
How much was she ordered to pay restitution?
I don't have that number right in front of me.
I understand. So you got two counts, 10 years concurrent.
Correct.
So it's
5
10
years probation, 5 years to serve.
5 years to serve.
And I believe the judge this morning ordered to pay around $300,000.
But we don't know who are.
Oh, 3 counts. I'm sorry, 3 counts.
Three counts it is?
5 on each count.
Good deal. Anything else, Stacey?
You know, that's where this case is today. We still have the civil demand that's out there. We're in Hinds County Court on that issue. We work to recover as much of this money for Warren County as we can. That's what the meeting with the board was about this morning. And then we do have some other court dates that are pending that directly involve us and some that do not involve our office. But Ms. Palmertree's reign of personally helping herself to the taxpayer monies and resources come to an end.
Now, she changed her plea today. Any reason why?
This is not unusual to see a defendant change their plea whenever, at the end of the day, they realize we have the facts on our side and that we're going to prove that in court. So the question is, do you go ahead and plea, throw yourself on the mercy of the court, or do you fight this to the bitter end and risk the consequences of being held actually accountable for what you've done? Today, she pled guilty. The judge held her accountable, and I think it's a good day for justice in Warren County.
Stacey, you mentioned bonds as the mechanism by which to collect some of the money mentioned in the
Correct.
civil case. Could you wed that with the fact that the bonding company has retained its own counsel and it was basically fighting liability during the last 2 sessions of testimony in Hinds County Chancery? What's the next step with all that part?
Well, we're scheduled to be back in trial in January, but there are ongoing negotiations, and I'm confident at the end of the day, the bond companies are going to have to hold up to their fiduciary responsibility on behalf of Ms. Palmertree.
If she's in jail, what would be the mechanism to collect other than bonds?
Well, you know, she does have personal and personal property. She does have retirement. There's several other factors there that she has outside the bonds to make the citizens and the taxpayers of Warren County whole. And that's the thing to remember in this case. She stole money from the taxpayers of Warren County.
Yes.